An Iowa meltdown puts even more oomph behind the worries in Michigan over an expected surge in absentee ballots. Governor Whitmer's week includes a national spotlight and a state budget. We'll look at the winners and losers. And a conversation with the doctor who performed a double lung transplant on a local teenager. We'll talk with him about vaping. Today is Sunday, February 9th, 2020, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint, where I am happy to shake your hand and I won't tear up your speech. What a week in Washington, where the nation has managed to develop a second Grand Canyon, a wide fissure that seems destined to separate two massive groups of Americans for certainly the next 9 months and most likely beyond. Unlike Bill Clinton, who survived an impeachment a few decades ago, President Trump emerged unrepentant and spitting venom at those who took him to the brink of removal. And that's exactly how his supporters would have it. As I've said time and again on this program, everyone is watching the same thing, but not seeing anything the same way. And frankly, I don't have the stomach to listen to the two sides hash it out any further. So this morning, 3 other big issues facing Michigan. For starters, a few weeks ago, we talked with Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson about the measures she feels are necessary to ensure a smooth election day in our state. And then we watched an unmitigated electoral disaster in Iowa this week. Now, the app issues won't apply here, but the white-hot spotlight of expectation will certainly be on full blast. Jocelyn Benson is back this morning for a progress report with the Michigan primary now about a month away. We're also going to dig into Governor Whitmer's budget. It is massive, about $62 billion. That doesn't mean there's money for everything, and that includes local roads. The highs and lows of the layout are coming up. And we're going to be joined by Dr. Hassan Naimi. He's the thoracic surgeon at Henry Ford who performed the nation's first double lung transplant due to damage caused by vaping. It is a very full morning, and it's all today on Flashpoint. Last month, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson was here to talk about worries over the state's new absentee voting policy and what it could mean for getting the Michigan vote counted in a timely fashion. And that seems a particularly acute worry after the Iowa debacle of this past week. Secretary Benson has spent a month lobbying lawmakers and county and city clerks to prepare, and she's back this morning as we are now just about a month away from Michigan's presidential primary. Secretary Benson, thanks very much for coming.
Always back. Good to be here.
First, before I get to what kind of progress you've made, your reaction to what happened in Iowa this week?
Well, it clearly shows why professionals need to be running elections. But when political parties get involved, messes occur. And I always say democracy is a team sport. We need everyone working together. But it does show that, when you have political parties in charge of the process, things can get a little hairy. Is that what was at heart of it? That's part of it. There's no, you've got a deeper expertise among election administrators who can prepare contingency plans and all the rest. But obviously, it was also new technology, this use of an app. It's why here in Michigan, we've been saying we're Michigan, not Iowa. We have paper ballots. We use best practices to secure the counting methods and all the rest. But new untested technology combined with new untested people running the caucuses, I think, led to a lot of the challenges you saw.
Anybody who wants an absentee ballot now can have one, thanks to the change in Michigan's policy. It didn't come with any changes in the way that, as you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, about the way that clerks have to deal with those when they come in. Have you gotten anywhere with your bid to tweak this a little bit so that it is easier to handle when they come in?
Yes, it's been very gratifying to see the legislature respond in multiple different ways. Some measures proposed have sort of gotten us half of the way there. Others are much more comprehensive and in tune with what the clerks are asking for. Representatives Hope, Representatives Love are working on some legislation that is in line with best practices across the country. Representative Guerra is also presenting legislation that's going to give clerks the time they're asking for to process ballots. So it's going to take all of us working together to come up with the best solutions and listening to our clerks on the front lines about what they need.
Will any of these changes be in place in time for the primary, or are you really having to think just about the general election in November?
My hope was that they would be in place for the primary. That's why we started this effort really over a year ago, calling for these changes. It still could happen. It's unlikely because we also want to get it right, and there are a lot of people now.
Could I cynically ask whether you think the Republican-led legislature is all that vested in making sure we have a good Democratic primary?
It's interesting. interesting. There's a lot of Republican clerks calling for these changes, or Republican elected clerks.
Okay.
So it truly is a bipartisan issue. It's just about making sure that the count goes smoothly, that we return the results efficiently and securely. So I'm always an optimist. I'm always hopeful we can work together across the aisle to get things done.
How much of a problem is it that there is such autonomy among the counties and cities, and the way that I watch this happen every year in our newsroom. We have votes that come in from some counties. They're clearly using one variety of software, because we can see the percentage of the precincts that are reporting, which is so important when you see a vote total come in. Other counties just give you a vote total. You have no idea if that's 5% or 80% of the vote.
We have over 1,500 local jurisdictions, each running their own elections. Michigan is one of the few states where our election system is completely decentralized, whereas in other states there's more accountability at the state level. It's a partnership, really, in Michigan. That's how I try to think of it, where we set standards.
Does that feel like best practices to you to have it decentralized at a time like this?
There's some benefits to it, because what works in Alpena may be different than what works in Detroit. And so there is some need, I think, for that local input, but there also needs to be some statewide standards, and that's where we come in, trying to set expectations and also increasing the amount of educational opportunities we're providing our clerks. And really, it was one of the things we're working to do more this year. But there are 3 vendors that clerks are able to choose from, and that creates some inconsistencies as they exercise their local authority to what machines they're going to use and how they're going to report results.
There is always been a mystery as to how it ever got to be Iowa and New Hampshire that have such an outsized influence. There's a lot of people questioning that right now, led by Congresswoman Debbie Dingell. This was her pet project before she was in Congress, and she was a Democratic National Committee member. What are your thoughts on Iowa, not just that being the state that leads the way, but doing it in the caucus style that they do, which is a different animal?
Yeah, I think primaries are good. I think I always try to veer towards what's going to get the most people involved and ensure the results are the most accurate. And then also, I like to always revisit and use data to determine what we think the direction is to go in. And look, it was really the championship of the New Hampshire Secretary of State, Bill Gardner, who's still in place. He was in place in the 70s. He led the advocacy for their first in the nation status as a primary. So I'm happy to advocate for Michigan to have a stronger voice in the process. I think the more diverse voices that are represented, the better. I think in Michigan we've got secure elections, we've got efficient elections, so we're up to the task to move up the calendar. It's ultimately a party decision.
Well, you're one of the state's leading Democrats, so
yeah. And I think Michigan is a great microcosm of the entire country, and so to have Michigan be one of the leading states and an influential voice at every aspect of the selection of a president, I think is an important thing for our state to be able to be a part of.
Lastly, with the change in technology, I always assumed for a long time that we would get to the point where I would cast my vote on my phone or on my computer.
That's what they thought in Iowa. Look how that...
Exactly. Now all of a sudden, I think a lot of people are thinking that, there's a lot to be said for paper
ballots,
and pencil.
Absolutely. Paper ballots are critical. I mean, look, we always want to find ways to use technology effectively and securely and make voting relevant for a lot of people who are used to doing everything on their phone. That's why we created online voter registration this year. It's been implemented, and now you can register to vote online. So we're taking steps to integrate technology into democracy, but to do so securely and effectively. But you've got to have those paper ballots, that paper trail, so that we can do effective recounts and protect the security of the process.
About a month to go until the Michigan primary, which the entire country, of course, will be watching. Michigan playing a central role, and then the big challenge, of course, will be coming.
And we're ready.
We will be talking more between now and then.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much for coming
back.
For having Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. We come back, we'll talk about Governor Whitmer's budget, which was released this past week. This is Flashpoint on Local 4.